At the point of impact, an 1,100-ton wooden warship is more than a vessel. It's a projectile shattering through dark, turbulent waves of the Indian Ocean. In mid-20th century Tamil Nadu, this level of intensity wasn't found in cinemas alone. It lived on street corners and in tea stalls, where readers gathered to pore over the latest weekly magazines. Publishers faced a persistent logistical hurdle. They had to keep these dedicated readers coming back week after week to finish sprawling historical epics that could stretch past 1,500 pages. Writing under the pen name Sandilyan, Basham Iyengar pioneered a serialized narrative architecture that successfully countered the threat of audience churn. Having worked on film screenplays, he realized he could adopt the rapid pacing, cliffhangers, and visual flair of the cinema and inject them straight into a weekly literary format. His readers responded with an intensity usually reserved for iconic South Indian cinema idols. The demand for his writing grew so reliable that magazines broke industry norms to pay him a fixed monthly salary, and decades later, the state government even attempted to nationalize his entire catalog. The resulting three-part formula turned historical fiction into a high-pacing engine for the literary blockbuster. The first pillar of this formula is a rigorously researched historical canvas. Sandilyan spent months studying ancient literature, geography, and political records to ensure his settings were structurally sound before he placed a single fictional character inside them. We can see this engineering clearly in his masterpiece, Kadalpura, or The Seabird. The story drops readers into the 11th century Chola Empire, grounding the fiction in the sandstone architecture and maritime wealth of South India's most powerful dynasty. The plot hinges on a real historical tension. The Chola Empire's struggle to secure ocean trade routes against the Sri Vijaya Empire in modern-day Malaysia and Singapore. Within this theater, Sandilyan details specific Chinese pirate tactics, royal successions, and the mechanics of ancient naval warfare. By nailing the academic facts, he bought the audience's trust. Once the historical world felt deeply real, the reader was willing to accept the high-octane fiction that followed. That leads us to the second pillar, the invincible hero. In Kadalpura, this is Karunagara Pallavan, the Chola commander-in-chief. He represents a specific, recurring archetype in Sandilyan's work. He is a tactical genius, immune to failure, capable of disguising as a pirate, and outsmarting a royal court. This hyper-competence gave the reader psychological wish fulfillment. They weren't reading to see if the hero would win, but to watch exactly how he would dismantle the opposition. The third pillar is what truly drove the circulation of the magazines, the use of Srangara Rasam, or romantic flavor. Sandilyan trapped his protagonist in a high-stakes love triangle with two equally brilliant and capable women. He didn't separate the romance from the action. The emotional jealousy and deep romantic tension were tangled directly into the political espionage and the naval battles. When you compress strict historical facts against pure high-drama escapism, you create a narrative friction that makes every chapter difficult to put down. This narrative engine turned Sandilyan into a juggernaut of the publishing world. Look at this chart tracking the circulation of the Tamil weekly Kumadam. You can see a sharp spike in readership that directly mirrors the release of his serialized novels. That audience loyalty outlived the print era. Today, his epics are still consumed by hundreds of thousands of listeners across digital platforms like Storytel audiobooks. Decades after his peak, academic scholars still rank him as the fourth most popular Tamil writer in history. Sandilyan proved that the past does not have to be a dry academic exercise. By treating ancient empires with the pacing of a blockbuster, he built stories that remained thrilling for generations.